Now to Nicaragua, where new protests are expected again Monday, calling for President Daniel Ortega to step down. Hundreds of people have been killed over the past 3 months. These protests began in April in response to Social Security benefit cuts. Manuel Bojorquez reports from the streets of Managua.
Within minutes of arriving in the capital, we encountered an anti-government protest and the sound of mortar fire.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
We found several young men, masked and holding homemade mortar launchers. They told us they fire them to warn fellow demonstrators when pro-government forces are near.
You know you're risking your lives here.
Sabemos, pero esta es una lucha.
But this is the struggle.
Se nos quitó.
The fear is gone.
Yes, he says, the fear was gone on April 19th. That's the day protests started over proposed cuts to Social Security benefits. Government forces are accused of killing more than 40 people that week. Hundreds have been killed since, some even attacked while hiding in a church. The uprising continues to intensify against President Daniel Ortega, who demonstrators say has turned into a dictator and should step down. But Ortega remains defiant, insisting the protesters are being influenced by outside forces and blaming them for initiating the violence.
This neighborhood, Monimbo, had been a stronghold of the opposition. You can see here some of the barricades they had built using cobblestones from the streets. But there was a bloody confrontation with police here last week, and at this point it's still unclear how many were killed.
This woman feared being identified, but wanted to let us know one thing. Her neighborhood was not backing down.
La batalla, pero no la guerra.
Monimbo has lost the battle, but not the war.
And joining me now from Miami is Luis Callejas. He ran against Nicaraguan President Daniel Ortega in 2016 before being barred from the election by the courts. Thanks so much for your time. Good to see you. Can you explain why, after so many years of folks like you opposing this president, why it is now people taking to the streets over this?
Thank you for having me here. I want to try to explain you, but the Social Security reforms was just the drop who flooded the glass. 11 years of repression, censorship, and destruction of institutional democratic institutions is what came the rising of the Nicaraguan people who want freedom, who want fair elections in Nicaragua so they can have a democratic country. That's what is happening right now in Nicaragua. It will continue that way until we make Ortega to step down the power through an early election.
You're articulating what you hope will happen. Tell me how you think this will end.
I hope it will not end like during the 80s with a civil war. I hope we don't have to shed that blood anymore. We lost 50,000 people during the 80s. We don't want to lose more blood of young Nicaraguan people. That's what I think. If Ortega continue in power, we're going to end in a civil war.
Yeah, so as an opposition group in a relatively repressive country, not wanting to shed blood, what is the end game?
Well, most of the Nicaraguan people want to be a Pacific revolution. A Pacific revolution without weapons is what they want, and I hope they continue that way. The payoff is high. Almost 300 people have been killed so far, and situation doesn't seem to get better. So, but that's the decision of the Nicaraguan people to hold a Pacific revolution in Nicaragua.
We've seen the Catholic Church play a big role here. Initially, Ortega suggested they should mediate. They seem to come out against the government. Do you see them as an ally?
Not really. They are trying to be as moderate as possible, but you cannot close your eye when there is so many repression and so much killing. They have to talk about it. and now Ortega is attacking them. He requests the Catholic Church to be involved in the dialogue, and now he's attacking the Catholic Church. At the same time, it's attacking some of the participants in dialogue. So this is not getting better, it's getting worse, and we will continue to address the situation internationally and try to get the support of all countries of the world against this dictatorship, bloody dictatorship in Nicaragua.
Often when there's civil unrest, the folks in power say this is outside agitators trying to change something in our country. So it's tricky for the U.S. or any other foreign power to get involved. But that said, you're in Miami today. What, if anything, would you hope for the U.S. government to do?
Well, the U.S. government have been have taken the right decision. They have been sanctioning some government officials, and they have been pressing in the international institution like the Organization of American States, which set a resolution last week stating Ortega to stop killing people.
Okay. Luis Callejas, we obviously all hope the bloodshed will end. Thank you so much for your time today.